Hey everybody, JB back with you once again, and welcome to the final day of the trial, closing out the third game in the Ace Attorney trilogy, Trials and Tribulations. We are here, February 10th, District Court, Defendant Lobby number 1. Let's go. So last time, there was a bunch of stuff that got revealed. One of the biggest things that we found out that has some pretty profound implications about what happened on the night of the murder of Misty Faye was that there are two people in play here. One of them is Iris, our defendant, and the other is Dahlia Hawthorne, who turns out is not Iris, but her twin sister, a completely different person. There are several questions, though, that come out of this that are rather interesting. One of them is, what was each of them doing? The other one is where exactly, who exactly was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne, since she's apparently dead. It's not Pearl here, because she tried to do so and failed. And then on top of that, the other thing is, how does Iris recognize us? Because as far as we know, we haven't met her before. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we still have yet to figure out here. At any rate, let's go ahead and get going. Good morning. Oh, are you by yourself? Ah, morning, Pearls. Mr. Nick, please tell me what's going to happen to Mystic Maya. I'm sorry, we don't know yet. The investigation is still going on, so I wasn't allowed into the inner temple. Oh, I see. So is Sister Iris still trying to remove those trick locks in the training hall? No, she's a defendant in this case, so she can't be at the inner temple. She's required to be here in court. Then how come she's not here in the defendant's lobby? I have to admit, it's kind of strange. If you're looking for Iris, she's in the prosecutor's lobby. Hey, Edgeworth. Edgeworth? What's Iris doing over there? She's going over today's testimony with the prosecutor as we speak. Today's testimony? You heard me. Iris is going to be testifying as a witness for the prosecution. Wait, what? The prosecutor is squeezing her for a confession. Oh, sorry. Or so I heard. Franziska von Karma, what are you up to? I know what you're thinking, but Franziska isn't going to be the prosecutor today. What? Then who is? Who else would it be but Godot? Uh-oh. Godot? Franziska is engaged in some important work at the Sacred Cavern. Oh, so she's still trying to get the locks open? The Sacred Cavern? You don't mean that she's... Exactly. She has been out there all night, trying to remove those trick locks. With the head nun's assistance, naturally. We estimate that the last of the locks should be taken care of in about 3 hours. I hope everything continues to go smoothly and we receive some good news soon. Yeah, thanks, Edgeworth. Prosecutor Godot intends to nail this case shut today. Be prepared to fight like there's no tomorrow. You don't have to tell me that. Touché. I can already see it in your eyes. You're not the same fever-ridden, frantic maniac you were yesterday. It's strange. On the way here, I decided that today would be the end of all this. Almost immediately after I made that decision, I felt myself getting stronger. Interesting. Maybe you've passed your cold on to someone else. Literally. And with that, I leave the rest in your capable hands, partner. Aw, he called us partner. Thanks. Alright, let's do this. I still don't have answers for most of the riddles plaguing this case. The circumstances around the murder of Miss Elise Donim, Miss Misty Faye. An impossible flight Larry claims to have seen. Yeah, we still haven't figured out what that's all about. And what that woman is really after. Yeah, where is she anyway? Is she still in jail? I will solve them all and bring this whole tragedy to an end. I mean, if she's not, I would think there would be a bigger stink about that, especially if she, is being tied to this in some way. Alright, here we go. It's us versus Godot.
Court is now in session for the trial of Iris of Hazakura Temple.
I guess that's her name. We don't call her Iris Hawthorne. Your Honor? What are you...
Who? Me? Well, my little brother came to visit me in my chambers earlier this morning.
Oh, the Canadian judge?
All of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, he developed a scorching fever and fainted.
I wonder if he's the one we passed our cold to.
Therefore, I'll be standing in for him.
I see, Your Honor. So they're brothers. That explains a lot.
My poor brother. He looked a bit pale, not to mention sad that he couldn't be here.
Uh-oh. It is impossible to predict what the future has in store for any of us. This is precisely why people feel the need to judge the past. And we of the court have been charged with the solemn duty of passing such judgment.
Well said, Mr. Godot. I understood exactly what you said. At least up until the end, anyway. Now then, Mr. Godot, please proceed with your opening statement.
Humans are fragile, fickle beings. Our hearts change with the shifting of the tides. There's only one thing that remains a constant in this crazy world. The bitter darkness that lies at the bottom of this mug.
So then you mean, forget it. What do you mean?
During yesterday's trial, the accused refused to admit her role in the crime. But today, she has had a change of heart. Sister Iris of Hazakura Temple has a confession to make. Uh-oh. I have a feeling that he's trying to orchestrate this.
Confession? The defendant?
Not good. Iris. Why didn't she discuss this with me first?
Very well. This court will now hear the defendant's confession.
Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules. My name is Iris. I am but a simple nun undergoing training at Hazakura Temple.
Witness, is there something that you want to confess to?
Yes, but first I want to apologize to Mr. Wright. I can't continue lying to everyone anymore.
It's alright. What is it?
Mr. Wright, I have to admit that I did play a part in this terrible incident.
Oh?
Are you actually confessing? Are you saying that you were the one who murdered Miss Elise Donim?
No, I'm not, Your Honor. But I dealt with the cover-up after the murder took place.
Oh.
After her spirit left, I took the lifeless shell of Mystic Elise and carried it to the Hazakura Temple courtyard, where I desecrated it.
Oh, so it was you who was plunging the sword into her there.
What?
Either that or she's lying.
Order in the court! Order! Witness, are you saying you were an accomplice to the murder?
Yes, that's correct.
What? 3 minutes in court and I'm already covered in a cold sweat. Ha. Everyone on the planet is an accomplice to something. It just happens to be that in this case it's to murder. Isn't that right, Mr. Trite? Ooh, I can sense some subtext there. Grr, that Godot. So this is the confession they were conferring about. It pains me to say this, but it looks like Iris's testimony was all a lie. Iris's testimony crumpled up and shoved into a pocket. Now then, little lady, if you don't mind, I've got a question for you. Whose crime were you trying to cover up by your actions? Iris was covering for someone? Now I'm definitely up the creek without a paddle or a life jacket.
I've been at Hazakura Temple ever since I was a little girl. Hazakura Temple is run by one of the branch families of the Kurian tradition. One of our missions is to protect the main family.
I'm sorry, but main family?
Yes, and that's why I would dirty myself if need be, to protect her. The daughter of the master of the Kurian channeling technique, Mystic Maya Fey. Oh no, are you saying that Maya was the one who did this? Huh? Wake up and smell the coffee, Trite. She's naming Maya?
Order in the court. So not only did you witness the murder, you know the name of the murderer?
I'm terribly sorry, but it's true. I saw her commit the crime with my very own eyes. And then I cleaned up the area to try to protect her. That's ridiculous. Maya could never do such a thing.
The defense will refrain from commenting until the appropriate time. Now, witness, let's hear your testimony. What exactly happened on the night of the crime?
Yes, Your Honor.
I thought I was prepared for the unexpected, but I never imagined the case would wind up going in this direction. Yeah, and unfortunately we have no Maya to talk to about any of this either. The real murderer.
I went to the inner temple that night, and I saw it all happen in the garden. I saw Mystic Elise strike Mystic Maya with her staff. Wait, why would she do that? While Mystic Maya was still stumbling, Mystic Elise moved in to deliver a fatal strike. Mystic Maya tried desperately to defend herself and stole the weapon. It was only in self-defense. You can't blame her for it.
So it was in self-defense?
Yes, Mystic Elise was the one who attacked first.
Unless Morgan Fay is out here pretending to be Misty. I could see that maybe happening.
That's why I tried my best to protect Mystic Maya. I mean, I can't see why
Maya's own mother would want to try to kill her. I mean, there's no real motive for that. You moved the victim's body to the temple so that Maya wouldn't be suspected. Isn't that right? Not bad. You've got the instincts of a true criminal. Something's not quite right. I'm sure it was established yesterday that Iris never went to the inner temple that night, and that the person who did go was that woman. Or at least someone channeling that woman. Iris even admitted it.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please proceed with your cross-examination.
Alright. Do we have a piece of evidence that we still have? We did crumple up Iris's testimony. I'm just seeing if there's something here. This is the courtyard photo, yeah. Wondering if this is still going to come into play. I don't know. Let's press her on this, because this is the thing that's a bit contradictory that we know about. Sister Iris, your testimony has changed quite a bit since yesterday. You stated yesterday that on the night of the murder, you didn't go to the inner temple. Objection! Did she now? Too bad for you. What she said yesterday doesn't mean much today. By the way, where were you when she claimed that she didn't go? It was in the inner temple's training hall. Or I was in the inner temple's training hall. A private conversation between the two of you does not constitute testimony. That would be properly described as hearsay.
What do you have to say, witness?
I just couldn't tell him the truth at that time. Mystic Maya, she's your girlfriend, isn't she?
Whoa.
I didn't want to be the one to break it to you that I saw her commit murder.
There, we all understand how difficult this is for you. Now then, let's continue with the testimony. What did you witness in the temple garden?
Well, Your Honor...
Okay, this I'm really wondering about, because, like, why would Mystic Elise do that? You're saying that the victim attacked Maya? I mean, Miss Faye?
Yes, it was a truly frightening scene. Mystic Maya was struck hard on the head, and looked like she was going to collapse.
What were you doing at that time? Why didn't you stop them from fighting?
I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Wright. I was frightened. I couldn't move. I couldn't even speak. I was in such shock.
That's perfectly understandable, my dear.
This doesn't sound right. I don't believe this testimony for a minute.
What happened after that?
Alright, let's talk about this. She moved in to deliver a fatal strike.
Yes, I'm sure of it. She threw down her staff and reached into her robe for a weapon.
Wait a minute. What was this weapon?
It was some kind of dagger.
A dagger, huh? And Elise Donim tried to stab her with this weapon? To kill Miss Faye?
Yes, exactly.
I have a feeling that if this were the truth, that she wouldn't be pulling out a completely different weapon. That instead she would be using the one hidden inside that staff. Ha. You look like I did after I mistakenly took a swig of Worcestershire. You know what that word is. Sauce. Do you have a problem with the testimony we're hearing from your client, lawyer boy? Do I have a problem with Iris's testimony? Yes, I do. There is one thing. Your Honor, I have a small problem with the witness's testimony.
You do? But this witness is your own client.
Yes, well, nevertheless. That's fine. Witness, let's add your last statement to the testimony.
Yes, sir.
Hey, just a moment. It's my job to say that.
Listen, Gramps, I won't say it again. Final judgment will be rendered by me. Okay, that's a little extreme, Godot. Okay, now, let's continue.
She threw her staff away and pulled a dagger from inside her robe.
Alright, I'm going to present the dagger staff here. Sister Iris, there's something strange about your version of events.
Huh?
Miss Donim throwing her staff away makes no sense at all to me.
But all you can do with a staff is hit someone.
Naturally, you wouldn't know this, Sister Iris, but the victim's staff had a special feature about it. As you can see, it's a sword.
Ah!
If Elise Donim really had wanted to kill Maya Faye, she wouldn't have needed to use a separate dagger. Not when she already had a beautiful blade in her hands already. Well, Sister Iris, what do you have to say? That was an impressive bit of investigating, Trite. I never would have thought there was a sword hidden in that staff. But even so, how should I put this? A longsword is unwieldy, and thus quite ineffective in close quarters combat. Maybe that's why she chose a dagger over her blade. Well, anyway, the type of weapon she chose to use isn't what's important. The important thing is that she tried to kill Maya Faye. As long as there's nothing strange about that, there's no problem with her testimony. But there is something strange about this whole testimony.
Well, Mr. Wright, the prosecution has a point.
You know, I just had a thought cross my mind. And if this is the case, oh man, that would be quite a twist. You know, we heard that Dahlia apparently died last year. But here's another possibility that we haven't thought of yet. What if Iris was the one who ended up taking the fall for Dahlia, and Dahlia has been playing everybody here this whole time, pretending to be Iris. What if this is Dahlia and she's lying and trying to basically play us like a fiddle here in court? And making us think that she's someone completely different. Oh my gosh, that would be so incredible if that was the case. Ooh. Very well, Your Honor. The defense will now present evidence to back its argument. Mr. Wright. I have here another piece of evidence that shows that this testimony can't be trusted. Because Miss Elise Donim would never attempt to take the life of Maya Fey. Is it her real identity? Yeah. Elise Donim would never have attacked Maya Fey. How can you be so sure? Because the victim's real name was not Elise Donim. Her real name was Misty Fey.
Fey? No. Not Mystic Misty Fey.
Who is this Misty Fey? Is she related to...
Misty Fey is the master of the Kurian channeling technique. She is also the mother of Maya Fey. Yeah, see, like, it's really weird that Iris does not know that at this point. Like, that's so strange.
Are you serious?
Also, she flinched when she heard Misty's name. Is it really true, Mr. Wright? Was Elise Donim actually the great Mystic Misty? There's no doubt about it. It looks like Iris had no idea. I can hardly believe it. The idea that she would try to kill her only daughter, one she hadn't seen in 17 years. Perhaps the prosecution can offer some explanation for why she would do such a thing.
Order! Order in the court! Upon first hearing the witness's testimony, it seemed natural enough. However, in light of some facts that have just been presented, one, that the victim supposedly threw a sword away during a fight, and two, that the two people battling to the death were mother and daughter, despite the facts being believable when taken on their own, when taken together, the entire story seems difficult to believe.
Listen, there's nothing in this world that is impossible. Except for one little thing.
Yes? What is this one little impossible thing?
Ha, you still don't get it. The game just froze. This is not good. Hello? There we go. You think maybe my beans are under-roasted, but you have no idea. Alright, I'm starting a new video here just to be safe. I think the old one's fine, but I figured just to be extremely on the safe side and not have to start everything over again, I'm just gonna splice these two together. Could you get to your point? I heard this witness's confession this morning, just as I had taken the first sip of my 8th cup of morning coffee.
You're going to ruin your health, my friend.
Anyway, after hearing this woman's confession, I had a detective who loves to investigate sent to the scene of the crime. And he discovered this little beauty.
Is that the dagger the witness testified to see?
Obviously, Your Honor. But do you not notice something else?
Now that you mention it, if you look closely, there appears to be blood on it.
Yeah, that's kind of the obvious part of it. Where did you find that? I didn't see that when I investigated the crime scene. Yeah, that seems a little suspicious. Did you investigate the pine tree at the crime scene? Huh? The pine tree? This dagger was stuck in the backside of the pine tree. When the last blow was struck, ending the violent battle between the two women, this little baby was thrown in the direction of the back of the pine tree.
Which means the blood on this dagger belongs to the victim, correct?
Ha! Are you even listening, old man? I first heard this confession this morning, just as I had taken the first sip of my 13th cup of morning coffee. Didn't you say it was your 8th just a few minutes ago? I didn't have enough time to get the blood analyzed on such short notice.
In any case, the court will accept the dagger as evidence. Furthermore, I order that a blood test be performed on it immediately.
This is my sweetheart. Make sure you treat her right.
Bailiff, get this piece of evidence to the crime lab for testing immediately.
Dagger added to the court record, found behind a tree in the inner temple garden. The blood is being analyzed now.
Now then, the testimony we've just heard had numerous unbelievable aspects to it. However, after having found the very dagger the witness spoke of, I believe we can consider her testimony to be credible.
Cute girls never lie. Ever. I don't know about that, Godot. I think everybody lies. Doesn't matter how cute they are.
In any case, witness, if you could please testify again to this court.
About what, Your Honor?
About the incident you saw, the battle between the two women.
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright. The battle.
Mystic Maya stumbled briefly after being hit over the head with the staff, but then she dodged Mystic Elise's next attack and stole her weapon. Suddenly, Mystic Elise was the one in the defensive, with her back to the stone lantern. That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Mystic Elise. Mystic Elise managed to fling the knife away, but then she collapsed.
That was a very heartbreaking story.
Oh, and I lost my focus there. There we go.
I don't know if there were any bad feelings between them, but it had been 17 years since Mystic Misty's disappearance. Perhaps they simply didn't recognize each other anymore.
That seems reasonable.
I don't know.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please proceed with your cross-examination.
Alright. So, let's see what all we've got here. I'm gonna go press everything now. Iris, where were you standing when you witnessed all this?
What do you mean?
Well, if either of them had noticed you, they might not have continued their battle.
I wonder if that's true. The two of them, they were standing near the garden stone lantern. I was watching the whole thing from behind. It was dark where the two of them were, so I think that's why they didn't see me.
So it was dark in the garden when the murder took place. Tell me, what did Miss Maya Fey do after she was struck?
Okay. What happened to the victim's staff, then?
I'm not sure. The area was very dark, so I really couldn't see. I think it got knocked away somewhere as the fight escalated.
That makes sense. That would explain the need for the dagger.
Mystic Elise raised the dagger to strike, but Mystic Maya dodged it at the last second. The dagger struck the lantern and fell to the ground. And then at some point, Mystic Maya picked it up.
Nothing sounds especially strange yet.
What did the victim do when the weapon was stolen from her?
You're saying that Maya Fey turned the tables on the victim?
Yes. But Mystic Maya wasn't herself at the time. After all, her life was in danger.
Oh, what if this isn't Maya? What if Maya is channeling Dahlia at this point, and maybe this is the time when Pearl tried reaching Dahlia with the note, and this is Misty, and Dahlia is coming after her. I still can't believe it. The idea of Maya cornering someone at knife point, it's just silly. Yeah, she may not have, but I can think of someone who did. As they say, a cornered fox is more dangerous than a jackal. I believe the correct description of a cornered fox is scared and petrified. Your animal analogies have grown tiresome. You were the one who started it. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so after Maya Fey backed the victim into the stone lantern, what happened next?
Okay. Are you absolutely certain that's what you saw? Yes, I'm almost certain. Almost? The garden was dark. I couldn't really tell who was who. Uh-oh, that sounds like an opening for us. What did she just say? So in other words, it could have been someone else entirely.
Objection!
We know that Maya Fey was at the Inner Temple that night. And that the woman that was killed was Elise Donim. Isn't it fairly obvious who attacked who? I don't have anything to counter that yet.
Well then, witness, please continue with your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. I wonder if we have to come back to that. The two of them face each other for a moment. Then Mystic Maya rushed straight into Mystic Elise. Then Mystic Elise doubled over and fell to the ground.
So she was stabbed in the stomach, huh?
Yes. Okay. Where did that dagger go? I have no idea. It was dark and I couldn't see. According to the detective who found the dagger, it was stuck into the pine tree in the garden. Most likely it was flung towards the tree after the struggle.
That is the most likely explanation, yes.
After being stabbed in the stomach, did the victim collapse right away? Now that I think of it, she seemed to stare at Mystic Maya for a while, and Mystic Maya stood there not moving an inch. Okay, that's weird. It felt for a moment like time had just stopped. But then, suddenly, as if the spell had worn off, Mystic Elise fell over. Seems like a reasonable story at first, but there's one thing that is completely impossible. The very idea of Maya stabbing someone. That alone is impossible, which means this faulty testimony must contain another contradiction in it somewhere. Okay, so we've pressed everything. Oh man, what else is there that we could present here? We've already pointed to the fact that they're mother and daughter. Is there anything specifically about Elise? Oh, this! This thing. Right. Okay, where do we present this, though? I feel like it's this one. I'm gonna check to see if this is the correct answer before I do anything else. I feel like we're on the right track, though. I think it has to do with that, the fact that that sphere is not on the staff. And it was found somewhere completely different. Like, we have not solved that yet. Oh, no! Hang on a sec. It's, I was wrong. It's the autopsy report. Stab and back. Okay. Body fell 10 feet after death. Okay. Let me just make sure this is correct. Oh, okay, yeah, because she has her back to the thing. Okay, that's the problem. That's why they're showing the photo, the still of that there. Something about you just isn't right today, Iris. Huh? Until now, I didn't think you were the type to make such a careless mistake. However, the testimony you just gave contains quite a few contradictions. What do you mean? What's so wrong about my testimony? According to you, Maya Fey stabbed the victim while she had her back to the stone lantern, correct? Yes, that's right. But in that case, the victim would have been stabbed in the stomach, right?
Yes, I think so.
But, according to the autopsy report, the cause of death was due to blood loss from a stab wound in her back. Ah. This proves that the victim was stabbed from behind, not from the front. Sister Iris, it appears another seed of doubt is sprouted from your testimony. Ah!
What? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright?
Ha. It's simple. People are like books. We've all got a front and a back. You get my drift?
Is that all you have to say?
I can also say that darkness loves to play with the human mind. Can you please knock it off with the cheesy proverbs and illogical metaphors already? Point is, too much of this testimony just doesn't make sense. Throwing away a useful staff, the people fighting being mother and daughter, and now she falsely claims the victim was stabbed in the stomach.
There certainly are some inconsistencies.
Well, Iris, how about it? Well, it's just... If you ask me, you're just being too naive about the whole thing. What do you mean? There are 253 distinct types of bitterness in coffee. But to pick out each one requires total concentration, and the use of all the senses. Were you really concentrating on what this witness actually said?
Prosecutor Godot, explain yourself.
The witness was quite unambiguous about her own ambiguities when she said that the garden was dark and she couldn't see clearly. Yeah, but she was also being really specific, which seems rather odd. A human needs one thing to see clearly, and that is light.
Light?
By the way, did you know? Hazakura has a rule that on nights when an acolyte is at the inner temple training, the stone lantern in the garden must be kept lit. I did wonder what that stone lantern was there for.
Well, if that's true, should the witness have been able to see the crime more clearly?
Normally, yes, Your Honor. But according to the head nun, Sister Bikini, on the night of the crime, it was impossible for the light to light that stone lantern. Impossible? Was it because of the snow? It hadn't been used in a long time and the wick was no good. Oh. In other words, it had to have been nearly pitch black in the garden that night. There could have been a faint light coming from the training hall, but that's all.
Most enlightening.
Or not. Yes, that illuminating fact has chased all the contradictions away. I don't know if I would say it's chased all the contradictions away. If the staff was dropped, it would be difficult to see. It also explains why they didn't recognize each other. We can't see the demons that lurk in the night. That's why humans are weak. Isn't that right, Trite?
No! Order! Order! Order!
Here, Your Honor. Let me present the stone lantern into evidence. Maybe it will rekindle the flame of truth in your mind. Stone lantern added to the court record. A lantern from the inner temple garden was not lit the night of the crime. Why is the judge just sitting there with that look on his face? What's wrong, Your Honor? Was that flame too hot?
This lantern, there's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood.
Ooh boy. So the judge didn't know about that yet. Did Godot know about that? Because he looked rather surprised there. Written in blood? Oh my goodness. In the last case, not the last case, the 2 cases ago, the, recipe for turnabout thing, Godot also didn't see blood on the apron. That was in evidence. Does his visor prevent him from seeing blood? Like, because it's red?
It says Maya upside down.
What the? Oh yes, that's right. After being cornered and then stabbed by Mystic Maya, Mystic Elise didn't fall down right away. She must have been writing that on the stone lantern behind her, with the blood that was draining out of her body.
It certainly looks that way.
Objection!
Hang on just a minute. What are you all talking about?
What do you mean, what are we all talking about?
We're talking about the message written in blood. Nonsense. This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle. He can't see it. He literally can't see it. Could it be? He can't see the bloody writing at all? Now that I think of it, he did say something to me yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. Yeah, and also come to think of it, in the second case, there was that one part in the Mask to Mask trial when we were talking about the paint in the warehouse, and when we brought up the color of the paint, the judge thought it was blood at first. I think it was the judge thinking it was blood at first. And then we said, you know, you might think that because this is a black and white photo, but the color of this is what's interesting or something. And then Godot butted in and he was like, color? I don't like to talk about color. I don't know if that was foreshadowing? Maybe? I'm curious now. So that's what he meant by that.
In any case, this is obviously an important clue. We now know that the crime scene was dark, and that the victim scrawled this message on the stone lantern. Well, Mr. Godot, anything further? Mr. Godot?
Okay then. Let's move on. Godot is literally shaking, and somehow I don't think it's from caffeine overdose. Yeah, what is going on with you?
I believe it has now been established that Miss Donim was killed by Maya Fey.
That's just wrong! Now it's time to turn our attention to you. Yes, sir. After the victim died, you did something, didn't you? Let's hear it. We're all ears. Sister Iris's cover-up. After Mystic Elise died, I called out to Mystic Maya. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the crime tradition, so I removed the body from the inner temple by myself. I dragged it behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge. Then I used the snowmobile to carry it back to Hazakura Temple and... I used the Shichido to alter the way the wound looked.
So you moved the body?
Yes, I was raised at Hazakura Temple. I owe a great deal of thanks to the Fey clan. But even so, I never imagined that Elise Donim was actually Misty Fey. I've committed a terrible sin.
A terrible trick of fate.
I believe you're looking for a twist of fate, Your Honor. I intended to return to the inner temple after taking care of the body, but... You were spotted by the head nun, correct? Yes, and that's why I couldn't go back.
Your story makes sense, I suppose. Mr. Wright, go ahead with your cross-examination.
All right. Yes, Your Honor. Alright, what do we have here? So, did Mystic Maya not answer you? I kind of want to hear about this. So you waited until everything was over before making a move?
No, it's not like that.
She saw someone murdered right in front of her eyes. It's not surprising that she was a little timid.
Yes, I suppose that's true. Sometimes when I'm watching lawyers argue back and forth with each other, I feel so helpless I just sit quietly and wait for them to reach a conclusion.
Isn't it your job as a judge to mediate the argument?
It wasn't until Mystic Maya saw me that it finally dawned on her what she had done.
That kind of makes me wonder if she was channeling somebody and then that spirit left her. Speaking of which, is that, like, visible when that happens? Because if so, then maybe that's what Larry saw flying over the bridge. How could you have... Wait a minute. How could you have done that? I just want to make sure that we have a... Okay, 10 to 11 p.m. This is... Okay, 10:45. Gotcha. I'm just looking here to see, like... if there's anything in here that proves she couldn't have gone through... the thing there. And this is the tracks. I don't think this is really useful at this point. Interesting that this got left behind. Yeah, I don't know. This is a weird one. Alright, I'm just gonna press everything for now. So then, you knew? You knew the significance of the name Maya Fey?
Yes, of course I did.
That's odd. I mean, Sister Bikini didn't recognize Maya's name, let alone her position.
Anyway, she was a very special person indeed.
I don't know, I'm still thinking that maybe this is Dahlia right in front of our eyes right now. Why'd you do that?
Because I didn't want Mystic Maya to be suspected in any way. I thought the best thing would be to remove the body from the crime scene.
You moved her body all by herself?
Yes, I did. It would have been impossible if it wasn't for the snow.
The snow, huh? It's pretty amazing you could make it all the way across. That's a rickety old bridge.
It looks worse than it is. It's surprisingly sturdy despite its age.
It's like they say, idiots are too stupid to catch even a simple cold. But there's one other thing that bothers me. Why not just throw the body into the Eagle River? It would have been much easier than dragging it all the way to Hazakura Temple. That's a good point.
I thought that it would still cast too much suspicion on Mystic Maya. That's why I tried to take the body as far away as possible.
Ha, makes perfect sense to me. But if it just got washed away, would anyone really have noticed? Like, it would have been taken farther away if somebody found it. Like, that just seems really weird. For the time being. Anyway, what did you do after you crossed the bridge? The snowmobile. I knew that would show up sooner or later.
Yes, I had the key. I used the snowmobile to travel from Hazakura Temple to Dusky Bridge.
This is the part that was in question the other day. Should I ask for more details? Yes, let's talk about the... the tracks. If you really did move her body by snowmobile, then there should be tracks left in the snow, right?
Well, yes, naturally you would expect tracks.
But we saw the tracks, right? This picture was presented at yesterday's trial. Are these the tracks from that ride? Yes, I think they are. But I can only see one set of tracks here. I don't see what's so strange about that. Snow was still falling when I left Hazakura Temple.
I see. Snow was still falling, huh?
And then when the murder took place, it had already stopped. That's why there are such fresh-looking tracks.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What do you think about this testimony?
When the murder took place, the snow had already stopped? That doesn't make sense if you stack it up against the other evidence. Your Honor, I'd like the statement Iris just made added to the testimony.
What? Does it have something to do with the case?
All will be made clear if you allow her statement to be added to the record. Ha, this should be fun. Let's get this snow business cleared up, shall we? Yes, sir. By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. Alright. We can now present the weather... yeah. No? What? What am I missing? Is it... It's not the tracks photo, is it? I'm thinking it's this. I'm gonna check just to be sure. Let's see if this is right. Oh, we are supposed to present the weather data, but... Wait, what? Why couldn't I do this before? Okay, that's really weird. Oh, because she said some stuff there. Okay, yeah, I get it now. That's a little tricky. Okay. You claim that the snow had already stopped when the murder occurred. But I'm sorry, Iris, that just isn't possible. What? This is the weather data from the night of the murder. According to this, the snow didn't stop until 10:50 p.m. But you couldn't have crossed Dusky Bridge at that time. Why do you say that? Because 5 minutes before the snow stopped, Dusky Bridge was struck by lightning and had caught on fire. What did you say? The bridge, it was on fire?
You don't mean to say you didn't know about it?
Okay, now I'm really suspicious of who's on the witness stand right now.
It was because of that lightning strike that the bridge burned down.
What? But it can't be. It looks like you still haven't figured it out. No matter how hard you try to deceive or conceal the truth, you can't pull the wool over the eyes of a real defense attorney. No! Okay, yeah, this is really odd.
Order! Order! Order!
The bridge was already on fire when the incident took place. That's right, the inner temple was already totally cut off from the outside world. There's no way you could have crossed the bridge, body or no body.
Witness, even my patience has its limits. Any further lying and I will find you in contempt of court. Do you have anything to say for yourself?
The only person here that is truly contemptible is you. Old man. Oh, I thought he was going to say trite.
Me? How dare you?
Whether this witness lied or not doesn't mean squat right now. Well, it kind of means something. Squat? The important thing now is to find out the truth. Isn't that right?
Yes, of course, but...
Whether it was snowing or not snowing, or whether the bridge was burning or not, there are two facts that can't be disputed. First, the body of Elise Donim was discovered in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. And second, the head nun, Sister Bikini, witnessed Iris desecrating Elise Donim's body. He makes a good point on both accounts. Yeah, somehow that still happened. We don't know how, though. That's right. I'm not lying.
What are you claiming this time?
I wasn't myself at all that night, so my memory is still somewhat hazy.
You weren't yourself, you say. You have stood at that witness stand and testified this entire time. Are you telling us now that your memory of that night is hazy?
Objection!
It is only human to err. If you're so perfect, Trite, maybe you can explain this for the court? What is it? When the murder happened, the bridge had already burnt down. But somehow the body traveled across the bridge and was found in the temple courtyard. Perhaps you have some kind of perfect explanation for this little magic trick? Ugh, well, not exactly, no. I know there must be some other way she got across that burnout bridge, but unless I can somehow demonstrate it, we'll never know the truth.
It looks like the defense is not prepared to offer a suitable explanation.
You see what I mean? In other words, you're in no position to suggest that this lady's testimony isn't the truth.
Act! Alright then. Witness, let's hear your testimony once more.
About what, Your Honor?
You've admitted that you moved the victim's body. Nevertheless, your prior testimony contained a rather large inconsistency. Please add an explanation for that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Will this be your final testimony? Alright, moving the body. Other than walking over the bridge, there's no way to move the body. So I must have just gotten confused, I guess. Was the snow still falling or had it stopped? Does it really matter that much? Or are you saying that there is a way to cross a burning bridge?
So it was just a misunderstanding, I see.
This is a photo of Dusky Bridge after it burned down from the lightning blast. It was taken on the morning after the incident.
It certainly was burned to a crisp, and one of the suspension wires even snapped. It's amazing the whole bridge didn't fall.
Did that wire get used? Maybe that's what we were seeing, or what Larry saw when he said he saw somebody flying?
Clearly, it would be impossible to carry a corpse across a bridge in this condition.
Dusky Bridge photo added to the court record. I was wondering why we could look at that spot in the Inner Temple gate area that was supposed to hold the suspension wire. I'm wondering if that's important. Unless I do something to discredit this testimony, it's going to be deemed as the truth, and Maya will be accused of murder. Trite. I'm only going to say it one more time. It is only human to err, and only humans can spot the errors of our ways. The more sense he makes, the less sense he makes. That's a really good way of putting it.
Alright, Mr. Wright, please begin your final cross-examination.
Alright, here we go. I don't really see anything we can present here, so I'm gonna just press away. Yes, but if the snow had already stopped when the incident took place, I couldn't have crossed the bridge, naturally. But I think it's just like Mr. Godot said. The body did make it across somehow. But you seemed to be quite sure of yourself when you gave your testimony. You said you were sure the snow had already stopped. I'm terribly sorry. I was wrong. Uh-oh. Does she really think an apology is going to get her off the hook? This is no joke. You're giving sworn testimony in a court of law. Well, Mr. Wright, let me ask you a question. You remember what the weather was like 1 week ago today? Huh? Well, naturally it was, well, I remember what the weather was like here 1 week ago today. You see? It's not that easy to remember, is it? But if it had been kind of a special day, I would have remembered. For example, it was pouring rain on the day of my elementary school graduation. No one wants to hear about your childhood traumas, Trite. What? By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. If you insist on obsessing over that one statement, let's see the proof. Show some evidence that the body somehow crossed the bridge while it was on fire. I'm wondering if we need to present Larry's sketch here. Well, I don't see why there couldn't be a way across. Mr. Wright, don't you think that sounds a bit silly? A dead body crossing a burning bridge. Did anyone actually witness such a thing? Oh yeah, they're really pointing to this. Ha. If there was, I don't think you'd call someone like that a witness. Yeah, but we might call them an idiot. After all, a dream isn't the same as actually seeing something. I've come all this way, so I owe it to everyone to figure this out. How do you transport a body across a burning bridge? Even if I don't know the exact answer yet, it's okay. I'll start by examining all of my evidence and see where that takes me. I gotta be like a shark. If I don't keep moving, I'm as good as dead. Alright. I'm gonna present this here. Yes! Perfect. A dead body flying over a burning bridge. I wouldn't exactly rule out the possibility.
What?
Ha. You're saying it's possible? Don't make me laugh. The only thing that's possible about your claim is that it's been pulled out of thin air. I don't know about that. In any case, we have a witness who did see it happen.
Preposterous! Who is it? Who is this witness?
I can't chicken out here. I've got to keep on the attack and go, go, go. Miss Elise Donim's brilliant and highly gifted apprentice, Laurice Donim.
Brilliant?
Highly gifted? Apprentice? Remember what he said in his testimony. That night he was at the Mountain Shack, Heavenly Hall. And that's when he witnessed the event. I think you've all seen this sketch before. It's an exact drawing of what he witnessed that night.
Are you serious? Today's not April Fool's Day, is it? Mr. Wright, are you seriously claiming that the victim flew through the air? And you're using this pathetic scribble to support your arguments?
Uh-oh, the judge looks like he's about to blow a gasket. Ha. Well, Trite, there's nowhere for you to hide now. Other than looking like it was drawn by a 6-year-old, does this sketch prove anything? Yes, I'm pretty sure it does, and I'm going to prove it. Listen, I know your tricks. You're trying to turn this whole thing upside down. Maybe. If you're so eager to turn this case upside down, why not start with this sketch? Upside down? Why did Godot say that? You know, Larry was looking at it laying there like he was, so maybe he did see it upside down.
What exactly is this sketch trying to show?
I don't think old Whiskerface is going to forgive any more mistakes. Alright, Phoenix. Look carefully and think it over. The sketch drawn by Laurice Donim is... maybe if it's upside down, then this is under the bridge, and the suspension wire is being leveraged. Of course the victim was flying through the air. You can see it right there in the sketch. Whoosh! I don't know if this is the right answer now.
You know, you're starting to remind me of yesterday's witness.
What? That was the last thing I wanted to hear.
Do you have any evidence that the victim flew through the air?
Just so you know, we haven't discovered a giant human catapult at the Inner Temple yet. Ugh, I wish they had. Even if you're a lousy lawyer, at least you're 1 cup's worth of entertainment. I think we should skip the penalty this time. Oh, good. There must be some way. I just know it. There must be a way to use Larry's sketch to show the truth of what happened.
All right, then. The witness will now return to her testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. I think we need... Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. I think we were on the right track. We just need to pick the it's a contradiction thing. Alright. There had to be a reason why we can get all that way. Especially since there's no music when we present it. Okay. Oh, we shortened the stuff there. Okay. Let's go with this. Something is obviously funny about this sketch.
I'm no art critic, but even I can see that.
No, that's not what I mean, Your Honor. Maurice Donim stated it over and over, that the sketch was exactly as he saw it. However, if we're to believe his testimony, then the sketch contradicts reality as we know it. It contradicts reality. Ha. This is getting interesting. Looks like you're back to that finger-pointing thing again. Okay, Trite. So what exactly contradicts reality as we know it? Is it the... flying person? This flying figure, naturally. After all, people haven't learned to fly yet. Or did I miss something? Mr. Wright, that answer just now... it was lethal. Oh.
Mr. Wright! After dragging us all the way to this point, that answer was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing, I'm actually blushing.
Blushing only suits women, not the elderly. Alright, I'm gonna look up the answer. Maybe it's the... Oh, you know what? Hang on, I'm gonna try one more thing. I'm just gonna... I think that we're on the right track here. The suspension wires. It's this wire connected to the bridge.
The wire?
Ha. Is that the thing that contradicts reality? It is indeed. Then show us the reality it supposedly conflicts with. Show us something that will point out how the sketch contradicts reality. Is it this? Where there's a wire just hanging there?
That's a photo of Dusky Bridge, correct?
Yes. Now compare the sketch and the photo for a minute. In the sketch, the wires appear to be above the guard wires. But on the actual Dusky Bridge...
Jumping Jehoshaphat!
The wires are below the guard wires.
What? Order! The sketch is somewhat different than what's depicted in the photo. However, isn't it likely that the artist just saw it wrong?
Or perhaps he just drew it wrong. Either way, it sounds like you're just wrong. With someone like Larice, I admit a mistake is a definite possibility. But then that begs the question, why did he make a mistake? What was the reason? Are you saying you know the answer to that? Listen, think back, alright? Remember what Larice was doing when he witnessed this event. He was at Heavenly Hall waiting for a lover that was never going to come. He waited and waited, and finally he laid down. But then, lightning shoots from the sky and sets the bridge aflame. Now ponder what sort of position Larice must have been in at that time. He was lying on his back, which is why you remember the scene the way he did.
He was lying on his back. I can't see how it relates.
Oh, come on, Judge. But it does, Your Honor. That is the reason why the wires in the sketch go up instead of down.
Ah!
Oh, no way. Laristo Nim witnessed the event while he was lying on his back face up. In other words, the scene that he saw was actually upside down.
So then, this sketch should actually...
I think you finally get it, Your Honor. The correct way to view Laristo Nim's sketch is like this. This is how it should actually look. So is she plummeting into the river? The victim's body wasn't flying above the bridge. It was actually swinging below. That's right, just like a pendulum.
Ridiculous. Order, order, order!
Of all the things to say, a pendulum? The bridge was burning to a crisp. There was no way to get across it. But if the body had been found at the inner temple, it would have caused problems. This is where the criminal decided to take a gamble. They used the burning bridge to get the body across the other side, and a pendulum was the only way to get it done. Let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Dusky Bridge is about 20 yards long, which means it's about that far from the inner temple to the opposite cliff. Yes, that sounds right. In order to cover that distance with a pendulum, you need a rope at least 10 yards long. To get a rope that long, you have to plan ahead. The lightning strike that night can only have been an accident, so it doesn't make sense that the culprit would have prepared the rope beforehand. So then, they didn't have to get the rope ready. The rope was already right in front of them. What? Are you talking about the wire? I'm saying that it was just a matter of using what was already there.
In that case, Mr. Wright, please give us an explanation to support your theory. What makes you think the criminal had the rope on hand to create a pendulum?
I'm inclined to say it's this. Yeah. Although, how did they get that over to the other side? I'm gonna just check to make sure this is right, because it's three units that are on the line here. Okay, yeah, that's correct. Alright.
And the meaning of this is...
If you want to know where the rope came from, it's hanging right there in front of your glorious beard.
Ah! This is one of the wires from the bridge.
When the lightning struck the bridge and set it on fire, one of the suspension wires came loose from its anchor. The criminal didn't have any time to waste, so they tied the wire around Laristo Nim's body. Because there was simply no other way to move the body. And I guess if it failed, it could just fall into the river, right? Ha.
Mr. Godot!
Oh boy. I think Godot.exe has stopped functioning.
It seems that Mr. Godot is more focused on his coffee than answering my question. It seems that the odds of a rope being readily available were very high. So I suppose that it's not an impossibility after all.
Oh, he's back. Possible or impossible? That's not the question we need to ask. There's only one question. Did that really happen? Trite. I wonder if you can prove what happened to us. Do you have any actual evidence that the body was swung over like a pendulum? I think this is where this comes in. Before I present my evidence, let me review what we know so far. According to this photo, one of the wires snapped. Looking at the map, we can see that it's the one that was in front of the inner temple.
So then, that was the spot where the criminal...
Yes, precisely. Now let us consider the body's movement by looking at the overhead map again. If the body was pushed from this point here, it would drop on the opposite bank at approximately this point.
Did you say drop?
Well, they must have failed to catch the body on the other bank. What? What makes you think something like that happened? Because I have evidence that suggests her body dropped some distance. What kind of evidence? Take a look at this autopsy report. It says here that her body fell about 10 feet after her death. Oh, I forgot about that.
10 feet, huh?
That's most likely the height difference between the two sides. The body overswung due to forward momentum, but then came loose and fell about 10 feet. And then, as a result of the landing impact, this crystal sphere was knocked loose. I guess we could have presented both of them, maybe? Yes, this bloodstained amethyst crystal. It's the one that came off of Miss Elise Donim's staff. And even more important is the place where this crystal sphere was found.
Indeed, I believe it's already marked on this overhead map. The crystal was found. Ah!
Precisely, Your Honor. In the very spot where the pendulum would arrive if given the right amount of speed. Okay, well, that's one mystery solved.
This explains your theory quite well, Mr. Wright. You have provided us with a way the body could have been moved that night. An impressive deduction, Mr. Wright. Most impressive. Mr. Wright!
I thought this cold coffee might help cool you down.
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Godot?
That was a dark and bitter guess that you made, Trite. But you forgot about one thing.
Oh? And what would that be?
The aroma. Huh? A coffee's most reliable accomplice is its deep and profound aroma. The rest of the court doesn't speak Coffeenese. Can you elaborate a bit more? If the criminal had sent the body to the other side like you say, then naturally there must have been an accomplice lying in wait to catch it.
An accomplice?
The criminal wasn't able to cross Dusky Bridge. So, who collected the body? What do you have to say about that, Trite?
Mr. Godot is correct. This can't be the work of a single person.
Oh, I think it's time to bring Dahlia out.
Well, Mr. Wright, you know what you must do.
Yes, Your Honor. The body couldn't have made it to Hazakura Temple without an accomplice.
Very well, then. If you please, Mr. Wright, who was the person that received the body on the Hazakura Temple side? Well, Mr. Godot, I'm sure you have something to say.
Uh-oh. That aroma just now smelled of sulfur. Perhaps it was your chances of winning rotting away. Oh. Wait, what? I can't get my facts all mixed up like this. Body, they carried it to Hazakura Temple. Unless... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Could it be Iris? And if that's the case, then the perspective we've been hearing from the other side, could it be Dahlia's after all? I'm gonna go for it. Oh, it's a different thing. It can only be you, Sister Iris. Huh? Ah, but I don't see why you're so surprised. The only way to transport the body from Dusky Bridge is by snowmobile. But with her bad back, Sister Bikini could never pick up a body like that. You're the only one that could have managed this. Trite, were you even listening to the witness's testimony? On the night of the crime, this little cutie pie was on cleanup duty in the inner temple garden after the mother-daughter bloodbath. I haven't forgotten, but have you, Mr. Godot? This witness was also seen at Hazakura Temple, desecrating the corpse of the victim.
Strange indeed. It's almost as if, on that night, the defendant was in 2 different places at the same time.
Yeah. Sister Iris, let me ask you something. Why didn't you mention it when you first gave your testimony? Mention what? The pendulum, of course. Using the sketch drawn by an eyewitness, I have established how the body was moved using the burnt-out bridge. Which means it's now a fact that this occurred, something you should have already known. No, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about a pendulum. But the body couldn't have been passed along to the other side without your help, so you should have known about it. In fact, it'd be impossible for you to be clueless about this whole thing, unless you're not really Iris to begin with. Aha! Oh, man. Oh. I'm so happy right now. Oh. I was like, what if earlier, and it felt so far-fetched at the time. But, like, with all the clues that they've been gradually feeding us here. What? How can you say that, Mr. Wright?
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You're saying this witness is an Iris of Hazakura Temple?
Are you serious, Trite? You mean this woman is... There's no one besides Iris that could have received the corpse that night. Now I get it. Now I know why I've been sick to my stomach this whole trial. Why her whole demeanor changed so suddenly from yesterday. And why she's trying to pin this murder on Maya. Yeah, that's the thing that really stuck out at me. The woman that's standing there at the witness stand. Her real name is... You know what? I'm not even going to look up the answer. I already know. I never thought I'd have to utter your name again. Let alone see you. It's been a long time, Dahlia Hawthorne.
Hawthorne?
Sister Iris had a twin sister. And you're looking at her, Miss Dahlia Hawthorne.
That name rings some bells. Distant bells. But bells nonetheless.
Ha. It's just your imagination, Gramps. This file contains all the relevant data about Dahlia Hawthorne.
Oh yes, I remember now. That case. 5 years ago.
My name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I just want to say, it's an honor for me to be here in your noble presence.
The honor's all mine.
No, the honor's all mine. But, according to this, Dahlia Hawthorne is already dead. It says her execution was carried out last month.
Yeah, but that's not going to stop somebody from using her. So what? Death has no meaning in this courtroom.
What?
Yeah, death has no meaning in these games in general.
Order, order, order!
Wait a moment. How can you... My sister, she's already dead. Well, what kind of...
You of all people should already understand. After all, the blood of the master of the Kurine channeling technique flows within that body.
The Kurine channeling technique? Now where have I heard that?
That's right, you're not Dahlia Hawthorne herself. You're the spirit of Dahlia, currently inhabiting the body of a spirit medium. Don't tell me that that's Maya in there. What an exciting story. Exciting, but quite impossible. You're asking us to buy that Dahlia Hawthorne just happened to be channeled by someone on the very night of the murder to a temple where her twin sister Iris was? Well, if you're going to put things that way, then yes. We're supposed to believe a coincidence like that just happens? Naturally, it was no coincidence. The whole thing was part of a plan from the very beginning. It's all written right here in these instructions.
Ah, what's that?
These instructions were written by your mother, Morgan Fay. And part of the plan called for Dahlia Hawthorne to be channeled. That night, there were 2 irises at Hazakura Temple. 2 of them? Even the time of the channeling was planned out, as soon as you hear the lights out bell. In other words, 10 o'clock p.m. However, Iris was seen before dinner time.
That means the Iris that was at dinner was the real Iris.
And the Iris who gave me this hood in the main hall was also the real Iris. Meaning that the Iris Sister Bikini saw at the inner temple was someone else dressed as her, namely one Dahlia Hawthorne. Do you even know what you're saying, Trite? This whole channeling the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne business. Yes, it's true that you found plans that talk about it. However, there's one thing that's perfectly clear. The witness currently standing in the witness stand is the real Iris. Is it, though? What? What? Calm down and remember what you know about the night of the crime. After meeting Sister Bikini, the Dahlia Hawthorne that had been channeled would have been stranded at the inner temple due to the lightning strike. It was later that the body was moved by pendulum. That's right. Naturally, that would mean that the Iris that received the body was the real Iris. Are you with me so far? Yeah. Yes. After being notified of what happened, the police came to Hazakura Temple's main hall. There they found Iris in her room and arrested her. And ever since, she's been under police supervision at the detention center. Yes, I suppose. I can't deny any of that. Whew, thank goodness. It looks like he's finally convinced. But something still seems off. Way off. I'm still not convinced that Iris here is the same one from the other night. Ha! I suppose you're about to say something really ridiculous? Like the real Iris and the spirit of Dahlia somehow switched places?
Switch places? To be perfectly honest, there are still quite a few things I don't understand, but I do know that unless we confirm the witness's identity, we can't continue with this trial.
Iris doesn't have the spiritual power needed to channel Dahlia. Which means they must have switched places somewhere.
Well, Mr. Wright, since the time she was arrested at Hazakura Temple, have there been any chances for Iris to switch places with Dahlia Hawthorne?
Ah, man, do we say this? Wait, yes, there was one, because she came back. She came back to the room, right? Yesterday. Your Honor, I think there might have been one chance.
Oh? Explain yourself.
Yesterday, for a few minutes, Iris's whereabouts were unknown. Unknown? What do you mean? What I mean is, there was a span of time in which Iris was able to move about freely, unsupervised.
Well, who was it? Who would give a murder suspect time to move about freely like that?
I'm sorry, I know you didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault. The person who gave Iris the chance to freely move about was... I'm assuming Gumshoe? It's either Gumshoe or Francisca, but... I think it's Gumshoe. Oh no. I don't like this. No! Ah! I think it was Francisca. Oh no! It was Edgeworth! That's right, it was Edgeworth. That's right, he was even panicked about it too. I forgot all about that.
This is Mr. Retchworth, isn't it?
Your Honor, there was a fairly large earthquake yesterday, was there not?
An earthquake?
Earthquake! Oh my goodness! The inner temple! This kind of tremor might...
How could I have... She fled. She escaped. We went to the inner temple right away. And it's true, Iris was already there. However, they had already switched places by that point in time. When I arrived at the training hall, I was met by none other than Dahlia Hawthorne.
That's quite enough already, Mr. Wright. Now see here, no judge in his right mind would consider the idea of spirit channeling and...
Be quiet. Uh-oh. I think we are seeing the real Dahlia. It's been a long time, Mr. Judge.
That voice!
Guess I'll have to ask again. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules. Dahlia Hawthorne. And my current profession? Permanently retired. Ha. So you're not going to bother hiding your identity anymore, huh? Why should I? After all, I'm dead. There's really nothing you could do to punish me.
What is going on here?
Dahlia Hawthorne? I never thought we'd meet again, and I never thought we'd meet like this. But this time I'll end it, for her and for myself. To be continued. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then who is up there channeling her, then? Could that be Maya? I can't think of anyone else it could be at this point. It's certainly not Pearl. Alright, well, I guess we'll find out in the next video. So until then, take care, and I will catch you next time.